everybody, and welcome to the 33rd episode, I believe it is, of the Lovebird podcast. My name is Julianne, and I'd like to thank you for taking some time to have a chat with me today about what I've been working on. Boy, what a world we're in right now. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. I still can't get toilet paper, that's for sure. And we're down to our last maybe 4 rolls, so between 3 people, that's going to go within the next week, I can imagine. But hopefully you can't really hear it. My machine is spinning. I was hoping it would be finished by the time I needed to record, but here I am. And yes, how are things going? I am mostly keeping myself sane, I think. Even though I'm, as you know, I'm a natural introvert, I like to stay home. I try not to leave the house if I can help it, but I don't know, there's something about the fact that our borders are closed now, and I am not supposed to leave the house unless it's, completely necessary. It's like I've been told I can't do something, so I want to do that thing. It sounds very juvenile, I know. Yeah, as someone who, would fight tooth and nail to stay at home as much as possible, now that that's what I'm being told to do, I'm really struggling, because I think the thing is that the option has been taken away now if I did want to leave the house, and I think that's possibly the thing that is bothering me, is the fact that even if I wanted to, I really shouldn't. But yeah, it's hard. I'm finding it quite hard to not even have the option to go out for dinner. Yeah, it's like the boys go out to work, they come home, and then we just stay here. We've been cooking all our own food. We've got plenty of food stocks at this point in time, thankfully. Flour, I'm on my last bag of flour, so if I can get more flour, I'd be really happy to. But yeah, that is how it stands here at Lovebird Lane HQ, how we are coping with things. A lot of crafting is going on. I've had to resort to a new old craft this week, because I'm kind of a little bit over knitting, because I've had so much time to knit. It's like, what is it called? It's like it's something, the returns get depreciated, like the rule of something or other. I can't remember what it's called. My therapist talked to me about it the other day when I was in there, but I can't remember what it's called now, but you guys probably know what I'm talking about. It's just the more you do something, the less reward you get out of it. And I think I've just gotten to the point with knitting that I'm just kind of over it. It's not giving me the same enjoyment that it usually would, which is quite sad, really, because knitting's been my thing for the last 7 years. Yeah, that's a bit tricky, but I am really enjoying some cross stitch, which is what I've been doing a lot of this week. Even to the point where I haven't, like my Freewheeler sweater, I've still been working on it, but it's kind of been put to the side for cross stitch now. So Kristen, if you are still watching the podcast, I will get my Freewheeler done, I promise. I will talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, I've been loving the cross stitch. I have kind of, it's funny, now that I do spend more time at home, I mean, even though I was at home most of the time anyway, but now it's just that extra step. I'm looking around and getting really kind of frustrated by things, especially my craft room or my craft area, which is just in the dining room where I would normally film. But, the way things are at the moment, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable sitting here with natural light in the armchair and Granger right in front of my face. Yes, I'm talking to the podcast, Grange. Yeah. All right, so Granger's sticking around. He's having a pat. Yeah, I just feel more comfortable sitting here on the couch than setting up my ring light and arranging my desk and candles and things. Like, I'm just taking the pressure off, I suppose. Just a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more chill, because I think that's what we all need at the moment, just a little bit of chill. So yes, here I am. I'm sitting cross-legged in the armchair. I have my dog in front of me having a pat, and I have some knitting and craft to talk to you about. So I really do hope that everybody is coping well in the current situation, that you're all staying safe, staying at home, and remembering to wash your hands. So yeah, I really hope everybody's coping all right and everybody is well. it's such a strange thing. It's like I said to Simon the other day, it's almost like with the way food and supplies and things are, it's almost like we're in a world war. Instead of a health pandemic, it's just because you can't, it's almost everybody's being rationed to a certain number of products that you can buy. And in places I've noticed, I've seen on Instagram that, you're reduced the number of people who can enter a store at a time. So there's massive long lines to try and get into supermarkets and things like that. So I really hope it doesn't get to that point here. Very, very strange. It's nothing that I have experienced ever in my lifetime. So yeah, really, really interesting. Interesting to see human nature and how people are reacting and things like that. I've been a little disappointed by human nature here in some of the places in Australia where people just don't seem to be taking it seriously, and they're still going out to pubs and to the beach and things like that. It's like, please, people, stay home. You see all of the graphs and things where people are talking about the less people who go out. Shows, I shared something to my Instagram stories the other day where, say you've got it and then you've met this, but you will infect this many people and then they'll infect the same amount. It's like the exponential graph sort of thing of how it will work, and it goes from like 400 people down to 2.5 if everyone stays home. So it's like, please just stay home, everybody, and maybe this pandemic will clear a lot quicker than we're expecting. So everybody stay home. But yes, I think maybe I will get onto some crafting because I'm already 8 minutes, apparently 8.5 minutes into this podcast, and it's just been me blathering again. So, but I do hope that you get some sort of comfort out of that, like a friend is just talking at you, and makes you feel a little less lonely. I have been doing my vlogs. I don't know if you've seen them. Just little snippets, usually about 5 minutes or so, just of some stuff that I've done through the day. I've had a couple of cooking ones, and I realised I forgot to put the recipe. If anybody was interested in the brisket recipe that I did, the slow cooker brisket, I've realised I forgot to put the link to the recipe on the video, but I have done that now. So if you wanted that recipe, you can head back to that video and it will be in the description. That will take you to the Livestrong website where I found that recipe. So yeah, I tried to get Simon into the video the other night, but he was wearing his work shirt, so of course, like, he didn't want to dox his workplace, basically. So I wasn't able to film Simon while we were making dinner, apart from a few bits of his hands here and there. But yeah, there was a lot of Granger in there, so I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed his singing. He was quite vocal in that video, so if you haven't seen it, head over and have a watch. What would it have been? Today is Thursday, so it would have been Tuesday, so the 24th, I believe. Yeah, Granger's singing about the food that we're making, so if you want to see crazy dog yowling, that is the one to watch. I guess I should get on with some crafting now. What do you think? Oh, goodness me. I'm all tangled in my basket. So like I said, I've mostly been doing cross stitch this week. I haven't done a lot of knitting, especially not a lot of varied knitting. If I have been knitting, it has just been on my Freewheeler. And I can't remember where I was up to last week when I showed you all, but I am working my way through the stockinette body now. Let me see if I can find the right side. Okay, here we go. So that is the front. That is where I'm at. I can't remember if I'd even sewn up the sleeves last week, but I have some sewn sleeves like that, and they are kitchened together underneath, and it's really, really a good effect actually, because you can't even really see where that's the right side. Yes. You can't even really see where it was kitchened, because the way the pattern is written, that the bumps all kind of just work, and it just looks like it's constant garter stitch the whole way around, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, I'm just working my way around the body. You can see there I'm onto the stockinette portion. Try and get me off so it will focus. So I'm onto the stockinette portion of the sweater, and I am using the helical knitting method to alternate skeins as I go around, just to try and get a little bit more even look to it, because like I spoke about last week, that is my back, and then this is the front, and you can see that there's so much more burgundy in the front. So I thought for the body itself I would actually alternate skeins, because garter stitch, because it's, you know, you get kind of a little bit of each row into the stitch, into the bumps, so you get a little bit of the one that you're knitting and a little bit of the one below. So I figured I wouldn't alternate skeins in the garter stitch because it's already kind of mixing itself up with the way that the stitches are created. But for the stockinette stitch, I thought, yeah, I better do some alternating just to make sure that I get a nice even result. And I think it is working well so far. Not that you can see a whole heap of it because it keeps rolling up. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this. I'm really happy with the way that it is knitting up. I probably need to get moving on it a little bit because I don't want to not have it finished by the time the test knit is finished. But I am just using my basket that I spoke about last week, and I've just got my skeins in there. I wound up because I'm already on to my second 2 skeins of my main wool for the sweater. But I am still working on my first balls of mohair. So I wound my other balls of mohair the other day so that I can continue on with this when they run out. I do not know as yet whether I'm going to need to dye more of my main colour. I guess I'll have to wait and see, because these 2 skeins are fairly new. Like they've only just been added to you know, like a round or 2 back on my sweater. So I'm hoping I have enough yarn that I've already dyed. Otherwise I'll have to dig out some more and dye some more, which is fine because I do have that base available. I do have a few skeins left of that. So that is where my Freewheeler is at. Sorry, I just got a little bit put off because I heard a car in my driveway, and yeah, because we have a shared driveway here. So you never know whether it's someone coming for you, whether it's the neighbours out the back leaving, whatever. So I get a little bit confused. And Granger's here again because he's like, oh, somebody was in the driveway. Yeah, someone was in the driveway. At least you've stopped barking now, haven't you? Hey, you've gotten used to it. He used to bark every time somebody would drive along the driveway when we first moved in. At least now he's a little bit more chill. He's very clingy today, actually. I'm not quite sure why. He's just curled up in front of me like a little baby, looking at me like, where, mummy? Where? Yeah, I don't know why he's so clingy today. We've had a walk this morning already, but I don't know whether it's the cool weather. He's just finding himself a little bit cold now that he's getting older and the weather's getting cold, because he has completely turned himself into a little ball down here on the ground. So maybe he is cold. He probably wants his blanket on his bed. Maybe I should pop off and do that now. So stay there. Don't move. No, that's not what he wanted, and he's still here staring at me while I am podcasting. So I guess I'll just have to podcast under the scrutiny of my dog. Yeah. No. Mama's trying to podcast. Yes. I don't know what's the matter with you, but you're being very annoying. And I don't really have any spinning really to show this week. I did a little bit, but after my accident last week, my knee has been very sore. My hip was really sore until Saturday. Yeah, the crazy thing was, I don't really know how it worked because my hip was really, really sore. I think when my knee hit the ground when I fell off the scooter, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it was in the last episode, I spoke about it. Yeah, I think when my knee hit the ground, it jarred my hip because, like, remember I said last week I couldn't do this because that actually hurt my hip. My hip was in excruciating pain. Like, I could barely get out of the seat if I was sitting down. If I stood for too long, it hurt. So yeah, I had a lot of pain in my hip, sort of in the back, sort of the upper butt kind of area in my hip. And that was really excruciating pretty much until, the weird thing is, this is what happened. I went to work on Friday morning because normally I'd work a Friday afternoon, but because I was in so much pain and I was struggling so much, I thought, well, I would prefer to clean early so that I'm like fresh and I'm rested, and because if I leave it to the end of the day, I might be more tired and more in pain. My hip was so sore when I was done that like I just basically came home and rested. But it's really strange. It's like the activity from cleaning on Friday broke whatever was happening in my hip. Like it stretched it out, or it click something back into place or something, but then virtually from Saturday onwards I've had no pain in my hip whatsoever. So it was really odd that I went from being like excruciating pain until Friday, did my work where it was a lot of bending, mopping, things like that. The mopping was really bad, it actually really hurt me, but yeah, surprisingly on Saturday I was like, I can move, my hip doesn't hurt. This is so odd. So yeah, that's how I'm going. My knee has finally got a scab on it. It was gross for like a week. It wasn't infected or anything. It's just the healing process and all that kind of thing. But it's finally got a scab on it now, so it is healing. But yeah, it was really odd with the pain in my hip. But yeah, that is why I have not done in very much spinning this week. I did a tiny amount on Tuesday when I did some, like while I was waiting for yarn to cook for a custom order I was doing. So yeah, I didn't really do very much on that. Not enough to bother showing you. I was hoping I would have the bobbin finished, the one that I showed you last week, but no, that hasn't happened because I'm just trying to go with the things that are pain-free, and spinning has not been pain-free for a little while. And Granger's now fallen asleep at my feet and is snoring, so enjoy the dulcet tones of Granger snoring. Anyway, so instead of knitting and spinning and things like that, I have been cross-stitching, and I have spent too much money on new cross-stitch patterns. For some reason, all the people who sell cross-stitch patterns on Etsy give you discount for buying more. So, yeah. But yes, I've been to 3 separate shops and bought at least 12 patterns, I think. Because they were all like, yeah, buy more, you get a discount. So that's what I kind of did. But, yes. Too much money spent on cross-stitch patterns, must stop. But I have got some finished cross-stitch here. Now, none of these have been washed or pressed or anything like that as yet. But this one you might have seen on Instagram is a very long-standing cross-stitch that I have been working on. I found initially the, what do you call it, the image of the cross stitch on, I think it was a Google search years and years and years ago, and so I basically just like copied it off Google, and I recently found out the designer, so I actually found the pattern. So I purchased it on the weekend just to make sure, just to do the right thing. I did purchase the pattern on the weekend. That was one of the ones that I bought because especially if I was going to show this off to you, I wanted to find who the actual designer was so that I could give them credit for this. So don't get mad at me, I have purchased the pattern. And yeah, so I finished this on the weekend, and it's like, I made it so long ago, like I started it so long ago, but I've made it in the colours that I really enjoy now, which is really odd because I used to always be, I used to love purple and teal and things like that, and more bright colours, but I did this in pinks and greys and very soft kind of pearly tans, and like this just really speaks to me now, which is so strange. And it's like obviously somewhere inside me I knew what my colour palette was years ago, but it's taken me this long to figure out what I like. So So that's the first one that I've done, and this one is by Galaborn Patterns. I'll link to this particular pattern in the show notes, and please do check out her shop. There's some really cool stuff in there if you are into cross stitch. So that's the first one that I did. And if anybody saw Wool & Vine's video the other day about her notions pouch, what she keeps in her notions pouch, I was watching that and I was completely enamored by the cross stitch that was on the front of her bag. So I immediately jumped onto the Etsy's. She had linked the person who created the bag for her. So I thought, okay, maybe they created the pattern, they're selling the pattern. I couldn't see any like record of the pattern on their store, so I jumped onto the regular search for Etsy, and I'm like, bat cross stitch, couldn't find anything like it. I couldn't even really find any bat cross stitch that I would really want to do, because I do love bats. Bats are one of my favourite animals. I think they're just so sweet, they're so cute. Yeah, I could not find this pattern, so I really wanted to make the pattern, so I took some screenshots from the video and basically worked it out for myself. So it may be accurate, it may not be accurate, but this is what I've got. So I ended up making a bat, and I think it's pretty close to what Kristen had on her bag. But yeah, I'm really pleased with it, and it's just on some really fine like, I don't think you'd even call that Aida. I think it's just some sort of fine fabric, because each stitch is over 2 threads, whereas like for Aida, it's like you've got the if you're not cross stitches, if you're cross stitches, you'll know what I'm talking about. But you can see there's very defined holes that make squares on the Aida, whereas this is just like I guess an embroidery fabric. So you can still like do cross stitch on it, but you just have to go over multiple threads instead of going to very obviously predefined holes, if that makes sense. And I made a little baddie, and I really like it. I even did it in mauve because, you know, why not? Mauve is very close to pink, which is my favourite, and I do prefer more of a dusky pink. So purple is a favourite colour, pink is a favourite colour, so mauve, why not? So this is my creation of the Wool & Vine's Notion pouch. I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. I feel like I want to make a pouch out of it, but because it's such a small piece of fabric, I'm thinking I might just cut it in half because it's folded. It's actually a long piece. I was thinking if I do make it into a pouch of some type, I will cut it and then I'll add strips of fabric around the edge to make it like bigger, or cut a piece and then have this somehow attached to the outside. But that was my little baddie. And then last night I started something new. Now this is on a slightly finer Aida, and this is going to be a rainbow, or a modern rainbow I think it's called on the pattern, but this is the beginning of one of the stripes in the rainbow, because I was looking through all the patterns last night because I had this piece of Aida that I sort of rescued. You can kind of see just below the dot, if I turn it to the side you can probably see it. You can see that it has been stitched previously, and I undid what I had stitched on there. So I had this piece of Aida lying around and I wanted to do a design on it, but all the designs that I bought are for like 10-inch pieces of Aida, and this is only about 7. So the rainbow was the only pattern that would actually fit on this piece of Aida, so that was what I've done. So I've started stitching on that. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is well done by the time I record next week. But yeah, cross stitch has been my thing of late. So I'm really enjoying it because it's something that I haven't done for many years. So cross stitch, yeah, is something that I started doing when I was a teenager. Once I started knitting and things like that, it kind of went to the wayside somewhat, and I found my way back. So I'm pretty pleased to be working on some cross stitch again. So I think that's probably about it. I think I've probably talked myself out for today. I want to get on to start decluttering my craft area today, so I might head off. If you are interested in any of the show notes, they will be down in the description, and I really hope that you are all keeping well. I've been thinking of you all and hoping that you're all okay. And I also wanted to say thank you. I realised the other day I've actually gone past 500 subscribers, which has just blown my mind. Thank you so much. And if you've been here from the beginning, wow, thank you. Has been quite a while. It's coming up on 4 years, I think, since I started the podcast. So, slow growth, but that's, tiny but mighty is what I like to say. And I really appreciate you all being there. Thank you so much for sticking with me. And I really hope that you are all well. I know it's an odd time at the moment. For most of us, I don't think it's anything to be scared about. I don't think it's such a scary thing unless you do know someone who's gotten sick. But please let calmer heads prevail. Please don't panic buy. Please don't, go crazy. Keep calm. It will be okay. And please do keep yourself safe, especially if you're in one of those categories that is more susceptible. So please do stay home. And all of you, if you aren't in the susceptible high-risk categories, please do wash your hands and stay at home as much as possible as well. I want to see all of you here at the end of this pandemic, and I hope you all okay. I know it's probably hard for a lot of people, so please do look after yourself. If you are stuck at home, look for ways to practice little bits of self-care through the day so that you can try and keep yourself sane, keep yourself as happy as possible. Please do indulge in those, pastimes and things that you enjoy, just to, make the most of the time. You don't have to be busy all the time. Remember that as well. If you need to rest, take some rest. As a society, we put too much stock in busyness, and I think partially the fact that we're all stuck at home, I think, is a good thing. We can learn to slow down and take time again. So we'll look at the positives of what this whole situation can bring. But I think I'll stop rambling now. I'm going to start getting too philosophical and too deep. And I don't really want to do that, especially because I've got other things I need to do today. So thank you all so much for watching. Please do take care of yourselves, and I hope that you have a calm and simply joyful week. Look for those simple joys in your day until I see you again, which should hopefully be next week. But until then, please do look after yourselves, as I said a million times, and happy knitting, happy crafting, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.